With Inin diving back through time and porting lots of retro games, primarily shoot-'em-ups, into a modern-day PC and console environment, it's been great to unearth games that either have been undercrowned gems or forgotten over time but actually remembered fondly, and Over Horizon Cross-Steel Empire fits that bill. It's a collection of 5 games split across 3 different eras, really. You've got Over Horizon, which is the big selling point here on the NES, well and fondly remembered, and got a little bit of a cult classic nature about it. And then Steel Empire has its original Mega Drive version, which has been HD'd, remastered-ish to a point. And then you've got Steel Empire's Game Boy Advance port, and both of those come in English and Japanese versions, making for 5 titles for you to play out. On entering into those titles, each of them have 2 modes. You have Standard Mode, which allows you to play with infinite continues or infinite lives, invincibility. When you gain weapons, they're at the maximum charge and power, so that you don't have to collect power-ups to level them up. But you won't get any trophies or achievements by playing that route, because you're essentially getting a modern-day leg up against the original games. And that's where Challenge Mode comes in. Challenge Mode takes you right the way back to the arcade cabinet version of the game. It's where the trophies and achievements unlock for completing levels or doing certain objectives or certain moves. And that's really where the shoot-'em-up like hardcore audience will spend most of their time, because these games are quite tricky and difficult, with a couple having some additional technical glitches which make things nigh on impossible sometimes, which I'll get onto in a minute. The moment-to-moment gameplay, though, is solid across all 3 titles, and they do play really well. These are horizontal shoot-'em-ups, and in Over Horizon you get to play as either a striker airplane or a zeppelin. They do handle and play differently with some strengths and weaknesses. But across all 3 games you have this ability to add on additional cannons and support. And what you can do in an edit mode in the main menu for these games is choose what layout you want these additional cannons and like protectors to sit, depending on which weapon you choose. There are 3 different types of weapons, like a shooting one, a homing missile one, and like a more lasery one. And depending on which weapon you pick up, which can be upgraded both through 3 power-ups as well, you can then get these additional cannons, and you can strategically move them into places through the edit mode so that you can block enemy attacks, or maybe you want to get the maximum amount of range of an attack out. It's really up to you. You could have it so that they are sat behind you, for example. And once you work out how you want to allocate your points, you can then go into battle and play the game with however it is that you've set it up. And I have to say, having gone in and mucked about with things, it does make a difference. And it's a really unique, interesting selling point to Over Horizon Cross-Steel Empire that I think has probably been slightly lost as a gameplay mechanic through time. And I would quite like to see this come back as a really interesting strategic decision that players have to make sometimes when they're doing proper arcade shoot-'em-ups. The levels themselves are varied, they look varied, they have different enemies inside, the bosses have a wide range of attacks and different phases, which I thought was cool. And although Over Horizon is probably the shiny one of this collection, I did also enjoy Steel Empire in the Mega Drive and Game Boy Advance versions, because it felt part of the same environment and world, and particularly when you're having to go up against like big airship boss levels where you're going around shooting parts of the ship down and then going around something that seems ridiculously over the top bigger than you, and you're like chipping away. This is like a horizontal shoot-'em-up version of like Shadow of the Colossus because there are some massive things that you're trying to take down piece by piece. And what all 3 of these games do, but particularly Steel Empire does, is convey a sense of scale, that you're really having to battle against something that's overwhelming through like explosions in the background or just chipping away at various bits and bobs, with obviously the graphical styling and capabilities that these games had at the time. Now, whilst these games are perfectly playable and fun to play, and I do recommend them, The Game Boy Advance versions of Steel Empire come with some crazy slowdown, and it's my one big kind of negative for this series at the moment. Hopefully this will be patched out in the future, but the PS4 version that I was playing, those games on the Game Boy Advance chugged and chugged hard, and I would have imagined this would have been something you wouldn't have had in the originals, so hopefully a patch can sort it out. But yeah, really struggled whenever these levels got super busy. The game couldn't cope, and so it would grind to a halt, and that would affect my accuracy and the ability to dodge various different things as I was trying to avoid enemies coming from up, down, left and right behind you as well. My parting shot with this collection really is, if you're interested in those Game Boy Advance versions, wait for a patch. They're really not very playable at the moment, and it's a shame that they've been released in this state, because fundamentally Over Horizon and Steel Empire are decent shoot-'em-up games that deserve love and attention in the modern era and to be brought back through time, and these are great selections that Inin have chosen, so thumbs up from that. They just need a little bit of spit and polish and love to make sure that they play the best versions of themselves that they possibly can. If you're interested in this collection and you have a PS4 and live in Europe, I do have a code to give away, and I'll be making a little post about that on the community tab of this YouTube channel in about 24 hours time. So stay tuned. Take care. Bye-bye. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/higherplane-network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.